Alrighty, want to thank everyone for joining us on this Friday afternoon. We of course hope everybody is safe and healthy out there. Want to introduce Brian Lucarelli, who's also with us today. Brian is VP of Client Strategy for NST. Say hi to the crowd, Brian.
Hello to the crowd.
So today is Friday. Hope everybody is happy about that. I know that I am. Today we're going to be talking about teams, but this is going to be an advanced team session. So we're going to be talking a little bit about apps to integrate with teams. We're going to show you the different apps that we currently have set up with teams. We're going to give you a little preview on Teams calling, and we're really going to focus on the teams and collaboration piece of this, right? So we're going to start by taking a poll. So I have not done these yet, but we're going to do a poll because I'd like to see how many people are actually using Teams. So I'm going to launch that poll. Give you the results in a second. So far, it looks like we got about 75% of the audience today is using Teams. So that's great. All right. So let's get started. All right, so what we have in front of you is I am using an NST demo account. Okay, it's called Matt Demo. Let me stop that poll, sorry, so you can see my screen. Okay, so we got up to about 80% of the audience is using Teams, which is fantastic, right? We here at NST love Teams. We live in it. We use it every single day. If we don't have Outlook open, then Teams is right behind it, right? So again, I am using a Office 365 demo account called Matt Demo. I am using the web version of Teams. Please keep in mind that Teams is also a desktop app and it is a mobile app, and they all sync, which is really nice. Okay, so everyone is familiar with the chat function inside of Teams. This is probably what the most people are using it for. Okay, so this gives you the ability to chat individually with people inside your organization. We have some customers that are actually have it open to outside as well, so outside of their organization. But I think for the most part, this is how the majority of people are using it. This is the way to communicate internally, right? Really, what we want to focus on today is this piece, the Teams piece. Okay. So with that being said, I am going to push out another poll, right? I am going to push out the poll that's going to say, are you using this Teams function, right? So how many of you are using this Teams function? So I'm going to launch that poll, see what kind of results we get. All right, so it looks like it's a little less in the 60% range. All right, great. So we have some familiarity there. So let me close out this poll and let's get started. All right. Okay, so inside the Teams function, right? So the Teams function is based upon Office 365 groups. So this particular user, Matt Demo, has access to the NST demo site, all right, the demo group, and the sales and marketing group. So these are the two groups we're going to focus on. Inside of these groups, we have channels, right? So these are the channels that I have set up inside the demo group, okay? So what we see inside of Teams is collaborative, right? This is where you're focusing and you're working together collectively inside of your group, right? So inside of our demo group, we have general, we have a couple of channels, general, demo channel, forms channel, so on and so forth, and we're going to go through each one of these, right? We're going to stay in general for a second, right? So because every time I send a message, right, the entire group will get the ability to see this message. Now, it doesn't mean that this is going to pop up on everybody's screen, right? And the reason why we did that is because since it's being collaborative, we don't want to be constantly be bombarded with things that pop up on our screen. However, if I decide to tag my colleague, why aren't you in there, Bri? All right, we'll type because I know Brian's on the tail. If I tag Brian, because I have tagged him, he is now going to get that pop-up, okay? So you'll see that people can use this to communicate back and forth, right? So if you're part of a team, right, and you necessarily don't have to be part of every single thread or communication that happens, right, you'll see that you don't have to be bothered with it. It's only when you want to tag them on a call. So here you go. I'm sorry, tag them on a message. So I tagged Brian on a message, and he was nice enough to reply. So the good thing about this is that all of the information that's coming in, right, is going to come in through activities, right? So up on here, activities, you're going to see all of this information. So as you get tagged across, you're going to see this is going to come in through your activities. So you necessarily don't have to constantly watch your team's piece here, which is really nice because you'll see that if I was to bring up my team's account, you'll see that I'm part of a lot of teams, and I'm going to bring that up and show you. So the last thing you want to do is have to constantly come in here and see the communication and chatter behind it. Anything you want to add on that, Brian?
The only thing I would add is one of the nice things you can do is if you actually put the @ symbol and type the whole name of the team, it'll notify the entire team. So you can
Great.
notify individual members, but you can also notify the entire team. So if you're sending a message to, let's say, a finance team and you want everyone to be aware, hey, we have a new form to use for accounts receivable, you just tag @finance and put your message and everyone will get the little pop-up.
All right. And then you see I got my little pop-up there because I'm part of this team. All right, so that's a really, really nice piece. Thank you, Brian. I forgot about that piece, but that really allows you to communicate. So, and here's Mike replying to it. So the really good thing about that is when you do push that out, now the entire team can see it, right? So you want to make sure there's an announcement. Hey, we offered up this new service. We got this new account. Whatever it may be, you're going to see that you're going to want to push it out to the entire team. Okay. And the good thing about this too is that when you do put in links and stuff like that, why didn't it come up? I'll show you a better one. Here's a better one. So here, right, it'll bring in the information from the link, right? So here is, we made some changes to our website to put some COVID information up there. So when you do put the link in there, it will bring in the details. I didn't actually paste this in, right? So it'll bring it in for you, right? Which is really great. Okay, so staying there for a second, right? So remember that when you're using the team, right, these are channels, okay? Typically what we like to do is when you're using a channel, if you're using a channel around whatever the name of the channel is, forms, typically what you want to do is you want to keep that channel and that communication around that topic, okay? So here is a forms channel, here's a OneNote channel, here's a Planner channel, right? So the good thing about Microsoft Teams is, as I've mentioned in the past, is that they're putting a lot of R&D into Teams. Microsoft really wants to use this as one pane of glass for all of their other applications, right? So the applications that integrate with Teams, such as Forms, OneNote, Planner, SharePoint, Power BI, Yammer, all of these applications that Microsoft offers as part of their Office 365 subscription can be included here and viewed right here inside of Teams. So I don't have to go to Planner if I want to look at something. I don't have to go to OneNote to look at something. I can stay inside of Teams, which makes it easier to, without having to switch it back and forth between applications. The other thing which I just wanted to mention, right, if I come back here, is every time that you are added to a team, right, you will get this message, right? So here, I've added Matt Demo to this team. It shows the 12 members. So you should get this message when you're added to a team, right? So that's to make sure that everyone is aware that you have been added to a team. Okay, coming back here, staying here for a second. The next thing we want to show you is how can I integrate different applications with Teams, okay? So, and that's why I created a channel for almost each one, right? So you have this tab button up on top, right? So if you're inside of a channel, I'm going to come to the general one for a second, and I'm going to click on add, and it's going to take you to all the different apps that are available inside of Office 365, right? So you can have more than one tab for a channel, which means I could have SharePoint, I could have Stream, I could have OneNote, all inside of one channel. Or here in this case, I have separated a channel app for each one, whichever is easier for you. If I show you our sales channel, you'll see that I have SharePoint, I have the notebook, I have a planner. I think I have more than one planner. I have Microsoft Flow, right, built into here as well, right? So all of these can be built across one particular channel, or you can break it out channel by channel. So coming back here, so I'm going to start with OneNote, okay? So if I'm going to add the OneNote application to my Teams, I'm going to pick OneNote. It's going to go and it's going to look at the notebooks, right? So here in this case, because again, I am using Matt Demo as the account, he only has access to this notebook, right? So if I click on this, this is going to bring in that notebook into that tab. Here we go, okay? If I switch over to forms I have already brought in, right? And the good thing about Microsoft Form is the test form that I brought in is a test PTO request form. So here is a form, right? So this form particularly says an employee is taking off, what are the dates they are taking off, how does they picking vacation, sick, personal, bereavement time, any reason for the PTO, and they submitted. This form we built actually out for a test account as well. The good thing about this particular form is that when you do hit submit, it does go to your manager for approvals, right? That is another piece of Microsoft's Office 365 suite, Microsoft Flow, that can do approvals and actually work you through a process. Here in this particular one, it is the PTO process. So again, to add a form, I'm just clicking on the button. I'm clicking Microsoft Forms. Again, I think this user probably does not have access to any forms, but that's why I brought in this particular one to show you that once it is populated, you can have this form brought in. Planner. So again, the real easy part is I come in here, I pick Planner. Okay, I can look for an existing plan. I can create a new plan if I want. So here are the different plans I have set up for this demo account. I'm going to particularly bring in this plan. And now it's going to populate that plan in there. Okay. Planner also is an app here on the side, right? So instead of coming inside to here to a tab, I can use Planner here on the side. It makes it a little easier to show and work from, right? Without having to worry about going to that particular channel and working from that. I can still do the same exact thing I can do in Planner and check off items, review items, move things from one bucket to another, give me a progress status, right? And the really, really good thing about this is, again, that I am doing this all from within inside Teams. I am not opening up Planner. I am not going to the website to look at Planner. I am functioning here inside of Teams, okay?
And I'll add that one of the benefits of using the planner tab, if you can go back to that, Matt,
Sure.
is from the top level, it'll actually show you every task you're assigned to across multiple plans. So what can happen is if you have planners in multiple teams, you might be getting assigned tasks left and right. Trying to see all of your tasks all in one pane of glass could get a little unruly. So if you go to this planner tab here, it'll actually show you all of my tasks. That's that on the top left, it says my tasks. Then you can actually go to all and start to see the full plans from the different teams. So it's a really nice way of keeping on top of that stuff.
Yeah, and especially if you're like us, because we have a plan for almost every single department inside of our organization, and we have multiple people who are part of multiple departments. The last thing you want to do is have to go to the security department to see what my tasks are in there, and then go to the sales department to see where my tasks are in there. Here in my task, this will lay out all of your tasks that are due across all of the different plans and all of the different departments. Great, thank you, Brian. All right, so one of the other things I want to show you, so SharePoint, right? So if you are using SharePoint as your document library, I can bring that in here. Okay. Here is the demo site. I can bring that in. Power BI. So I did this morning, actually. So if you're not familiar with Power BI is a business reporting tool that Microsoft built. I'm using some old data in here that is coming from our quoting tool. But again, so this was set up by myself, Matt Brown. I shared it with Matt Demo, right? I published it inside the Power BI channel. So here is this report, and here Matt Demo can make changes to it, right? So if I make changes to it, eventually it will refresh, and it will refresh the screen. If I want to pick Brian, because I know he's on the call, right? So now I'm looking at all the quotes from Brian, right? If I want to add Brian and Kathy, if I want to add Dana. So all of this is on the fly data that can be changed. And again, I'm probably going to repeat this multiple times, is that I am not in Power BI. I have published this particular report in Teams, right? This particular report is called Quozal, and I can see it right here from within inside Teams. And I can change it as I want, right? So if you're publishing reports for your team and you want to give your team the ability to change and modify based upon what they want to look at, again, here I can do this from within inside Teams. So really, really nice feature here. The ability to bring in Power BI and reporting is fantastic, I think. Because again, you don't have to worry about somebody logging into Power BI, somebody going to the website to log into Power BI, somebody downloading the Power BI desktop app. Here again, I can come in here, make the changes on the fly I want to see, look at the data I want to see, slice and dice the data any way I like it.
And Matt, one thing that I think we should note is that the ability to add new tabs to a team is specifically based on whether someone is an owner on a team or not. So if you try to, if an average user tries to add a bunch of tabs to a channel, I believe it does not let you. I'm looking at from my side. I don't think you can actually add it unless you're listed as an owner on the team.
That's correct, because then one thing you do not want to have happen is you don't want to have people start adding channels and adding tabs, right, all across the team without the team leader or owner of the team being aware of it, right? And that's the other thing too, is that remember that when you're using Teams, every time you do create a channel, it actually does create a folder in SharePoint. So, I've seen it where people go ahead and create all these different channels and not realizing that they are actually creating SharePoint folders on the back end in Office 365. Okay, so summarizing here a little bit, Teams, right? Collaborative, right? The ability to tag and constantly reply to emails. Again, I think this is a really good one because you'll see that we have multiple people working on when we made some changes to our website, adding some information about the Corona information. You can see all the replies, right, from myself, from Harrison, and from Brian. And if I want to click on that, now I can see all of the replies, right, and I can see all of the details. You can see that every time Brian has tagged Harrison, right, that's why he's in that purplish color. Which the other thing too is just to mention too, if you don't know how, this is using the dark feature of Microsoft Teams. Just to show you quickly, because I didn't show this in some of the other demos. It's under settings, and you can use the dark theme, right, or the default theme. All right, just something to a little easier on the eyes. All right, and again, as you put links in here, they do come in here like this, which is really great. And obviously, if you click on it, it's going to link you out to the website.
Matt, I think the one other thing I'd note is if you hit the plus sign to add a new tab in there, one of the ways that people will often use this if you have quick things that you want to have your team be able to get to. So the website, if there's like a let's say in an accounting team you want to have links to the bank sites that are often used, you can add the website. So then you're basically creating a quick link to a website at the top. Also, if you have maybe a specific PDF or a Word file or an Excel file that you want to have very quick at the ready for people to access all the time, that option is in there as well. There's an Excel, a PDF, and a Word tab button that you can add, and it'll actually render that within Teams, just like that. So it's um, basically anything you can think of that would be helpful for your team to have on the ready whenever they're working within the channel is good to add as a tab. You just don't want to add too many tabs because then it can get a little unruly to, you know, sort through them. But other than that, having them in there is only going to be helpful for your team to access the information.
Great. And just to show you, when I click on add a tab, I'm showing you some of the standard features of using the Office 365 suite. You scroll down here, there are lots and lots of applications that you can tie into, right? Microsoft, and this list just keeps on growing and growing and growing, right? And even if I click on more apps, right? So all of these apps, are already integrated with Teams, right? And they do separate it based upon some criteria here. So if you're looking at analytics apps, here are some of them, obviously Power BI being one of them. Educational apps, right? Lucid Charts, Quizlets, all good things and be able to integrate there. Productivity apps, we love Microsoft Flow. That works really well. Obviously, Microsoft 365 Dynamics. So all of these apps can be integrated inside of Microsoft Teams. Okay, there. So let me just roll back here. The other thing which I did want to show as part of the last one, just to make sure, is like if you are in part of multiple teams, right, and one team is not active than another, or you're really just a member on the team and you don't want to fill it up. So when I bring over my teams, I'll show you how, I'm part of a lot of teams here, right? You can't always hide a team, right? And I'll show you what it looks like on mine. So just so it doesn't fill up your navigation bar here on the left, okay? So the other thing which we are going to do as part of this is I'm going to show you a couple of apps that we have integrated. I'm going to show you Teams calling, right? Because Microsoft now can provide a phone service, right? So we're going to look at that a little bit. So I am going to bring over my Teams. Okay, so now you should see my teams, right? So again, you can see that I am part of multiple teams here. I've opened up the demo one, which we were looking at before, okay? And here are all my teams, and you'll see that every time you do hide a team, some of the teams are hidden down here, right? So anything that's hidden, the teams that are hidden are listed down here. Okay, so one of the things I want to show you is who. Yep, who, right? So what can who do, right? So if I click on this, these are all the things that who, which is an integrated Teams app, can do, right? So the one thing that I really found was interesting about this is that if you want to type in, who knows about Microsoft Teams, and it will look at your organization and it will reply, all of these people have expertise inside of Microsoft Teams, okay? And it looks at this, and it looks at not only the org chart of the organization, the position of the organization, how often they are using Teams, everything like that, who we specify as Teams experts, and that's all good. So if I then want to ask, who is, since Brian is on manager, okay, so really nice functionality there, right? So these are all some of the things that who can do, right? And they're only building upon this, right? So a lot of this is set up on the back end, obviously in Office 365, but they are just building upon this. The other feature that I really like up on here is your org, right? So you'll see it actually does break out an org chart for you, right? So obviously you see Will up top, you see myself down low, and then you have my team down below, right? So again, a really nice feature. If you needed to know if your organization is larger and you need to know, who does somebody report to, who knows something about Microsoft Teams, who knows something about Microsoft Planner, Really nice feature inside there. It will integrate with Calendar, so it will show your up and coming meetings. So just a little nice little feature that I think Microsoft is going to build upon their AI to get this going even further. All right, so next is going to be Microsoft phone system. So Microsoft is now offering a phone system. NST has done the research and the testing of it. NST is something that we are going to move forward and switch off of our existing phone system to using Teams. It works really, really nice. Again, the fact that you are inside of Teams and not having to leave Teams, and the fact that probably the most people nowadays are actually either A, using a headset like I am, using their mic and camera on their laptop. It really, really does link it all together, right? I don't have to worry about picking up a handset. I don't have to worry about pressing a voicemail button. All of those features are built in here, right? So, oh, and it also has all of the call flow information. So like when you call NST, you get the NST auto attendant. You typically will press 3 for service, and you'll get Jessica and her team in service to help you with entering a ticket or anything like that. And then if you press 2, you're going to get sales. If you press 4, you're going to get finance. All of that call flow features are all built into the Microsoft Teams phone system, okay? So again here, so basically what we have set up is I've set up a temporary number here. Here's my number, 631-851-2354, right? I can pick in here and I can dial. Can't type. So I'm going to dial my cell phone, right? And that's basically telling me who I'm calling because it does know my cell phone number. And if you could see my cell phone is ringing, and I also hear the ringing happening now as well, okay? Here is your tree, right? So all of your incoming and outgoing calls, right? So we have been using this, the client strategic team and the sales team exclusively. So all of my incoming and outgoing calls are all through here, so I can see my history. So you can see Brian, who's on the call. We talked to him a couple, 9 minutes or so ago. Voicemail. So I have voicemail here. I do not have any voicemails, but you do have the ability to set up voicemail. And again, the one thing that we're seeing from this, right, is we were on a cloud-based VoIP system already, and this is obviously something very similar because it is cloud-based and it is VoIP. We're actually seeing a pretty decent size cost savings when it comes to our phone system as well. So, and the other good thing about it too is that since it's all set up on the back end in Office 365, it is something that actually NST can administer, right? So we don't have to worry about, working through 8x8 or maybe MyTel or something along those lines. It is actually something that our team can administer and make changes to. So resetting of voicemail passwords, changing call flow, changing user extensions, moving one user from one desk to another. All of those things are going to follow you inside of the Microsoft Teams application anyway. But all these changes that we can make on the back end can actually be done by NST. Brian, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, just to so people understand it, it is you can live within this Teams application for the phone system, but if you're more comfortable having a physical handset like an on-premise system, they have that option as well. So with their physical handsets, like a phone sitting on your desk, it actually has a little touch screen that'll have much of this Teams application in it. So you can actually see people's names. You can make calls through it. You see the caller ID when people call in. You see your voicemails. So on a case-by-case basis, as we look at clients and say, I want to move to Teams Voice, the question will then come to, do I need a physical phone at my desk anymore, or am I comfortable just having either a headset plugged into my computer or just using the Teams app on my cell phone? And then I can avoid the cost of a $200, $300 physical phone that could break, and I'll just use my computer or use my phone. So we see a mix when we talk to clients about whether the soft phone is good for them or not. It's really on a case by case basis. But I mean, I think at our organization, Matt, we're likely going to have soft phones almost completely across the board, and maybe the people on the admin team that are taking calls, maybe they'll have physical phones, but I think for the most part, we're just going to be using soft phones.
Yeah, and I definitely would see that as well. And the other really good thing about this too is, like with most most VoIP systems have an app that goes on your mobile phone. So just like Teams, right? Teams is a mobile app that can go on your mobile phone. So the really good thing about this that I find is that your field employees, right, whoever they may be, right, sales, engineers, anybody that's out on the road, that may give customers their either A, business cell phone, or B, personal cell phone to contact them, that goes away, right? Because now you basically have a phone inside of the Teams application. So that really makes it um, much easier for the employee to communicate with clients, so they don't have to give out their personal cell phone numbers. Um, and it makes it easier for customers to get in touch, and also for the back office to get in touch with people in the field as well. So it's a really, really nice added bonus, because you most likely already have the Teams mobile app on your phone already, right? And you're using it. So that's a really, really nice big piece there. Um, so I think that once we have, and I think that we're probably maybe 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks or so from away from changing NST totally. We'll do a demo on the phone system, the back end, some of the features. We have not seen any feature inside of the Microsoft phone system that we could not do with our existing cloud-based phone system, which is great, because we're not going to lose any functionality there, and maybe save a little bit of money in doing so as well. All right. So with that being said, sorry I have gone a little bit over 1:30, but want to thank everybody for joining us today. Want to thank Brian for for joining me on this call as well. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely.
Again, please feel free if you do need help with Teams, if you do need help with SharePoint, any of the Office 365 applications, please reach out to your NST client strategic advisor, and they will be happy to help. Again, we see that just based upon the poll that we took earlier today, we're seeing that roughly 70% of the people that are on this webinar are using Teams, and that a lot of them are actually using the team function, which is fantastic. Love that. Because again, we really see the collaboration piece here between the teams, right? If you do need help in setting up the different teams and departments, please let me know. One of the things that we typically will ask is just saying, okay, so what departments do you want to have set up, and who is going to be in each department? And we will then work quickly about having that set up for you. So with that being said, it is Friday. It is 1:30. I will let everybody go enjoy the rest of their Friday. And I hope that everybody has a great day and a great weekend. And stay safe. Thanks, everybody.